Morning, everybody.
Morning, morning. Woo!
Welcome to the Sunshine Reformer podcast. My name is Greg.
And I'm Gabriel.
And today we've got another really great episode lined up for you. We're going to kind of take it back to basics again, and at least on my end, and kind of make a case for 22 long rifle pistol caliber or rifle caliber, because of course it is for both. And then I know, Gabriel, you've got some juicy stuff lined up.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the very interesting, never boring Electoral College. Everybody's always excited to talk about the Electoral College. It is probably the most interesting topic in human history. There is nothing. 100% of people like talking about it all the time. This is a true fact.
Speaking of which, we are exactly 1 week away from election day. So
yeah,
it's
that's scary.
It's definitely a relevant topic for right now.
It's scary.
So it is scary. I'm getting scared.
Well, hopefully I can bring a little bit of hope. Hopefully there could be some hope that I bring in. Dang, dude, so what's happened with your weekend? What happened over the week?
So we had a really great turnout. We did have a range day meetup situation between the de facto SRA Central Florida. We had one representative from Tampa, from Tampa, and the rest were from Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had it was a collaboration with I like to call it a former, but I guess they're still kind of around, the Liberal Gun Club Florida chapter. They're a statewide thing, even though I think it should be broken up into probably two different entities. But anyways,
yeah.
So the Liberal Gun Club, for those of you who don't know, is a national organization that was started several years ago, actually, probably, I want to say at least 5 or 6 years ago. So they predate the SRA by a couple of years. And, we talk about, different forms of leftism and all that kind of stuff. And I think that when they first started, objectively, they were trying to just, by calling themselves the Liberal Gun Club, they're saying, well, it doesn't matter if you're liberal or, further left or, even libertarian or whatever you want to call it. If you're not conservative or whatever, this is a place, and you like guns.
Basically, not the NRA is what they're going
yes,
for.
Exactly.
Whatever the NRA is, we're not. We just want.
And so they started, and that's the first group of people that I found when I became a gun owner. And the old president of Florida chapter, who's unfortunately passed away a year and a half ago, he was really integral in helping me and my wife kind of get into guns more and teach us everything that there is to know about it. He was a really, really cool guy. So anyway, so they came out and we did a range day, and we had a lot of really cool guns. Some people brought some really cool guns out to shoot, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
That was my weekend.
That sounds great, dude. That's
yeah.
I know.
We wish you could have been there.
I know. I had a surprise birthday party thrown on me. I was like, oh, I guess I have to. I probably should do this.
When was your birthday?
Not mine. It was for a family member.
Okay.
So I was like, well, I can't really not go because it was kind of an important one. So
right.
You only get each age once. So
it's true.
But that was part of it. The other part of it is building a chicken coop.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I know we've been talking about chickens.
Now I'm technically in the city limits where I live, but nobody gives a shit. It's Palatka. Like, you couldn't do this in Orlando. I don't think you could get away with this. Of course, every city and jurisdiction has its own thing. Like, I think there's some places in like LA you could have hens, but you can't have roosters, and you can only have like so many hens, even still.
Right.
So obviously, like this is different from each municipality and each city and stuff like that. Even sometimes a state could dictate something, but we're gonna get hens because our neighbors have hens, and there's like a neighborhood app thing, and
Hens are the ladies, right?
yeah, they're the ladies, and
Yeah.
technically cocks are the males, but most people
Right.
call them roosters for obvious reasons.
Yes.
So it's kind of like it's like the bull heifer thing,
Yeah.
and then steers are basically castrated bulls.
Right.
That's the difference. So a bull
But
is for breeding, a steer is for eating.
right. And of course, you know what a lady dog is called, right?
A bitch.
A bitch.
What's the male dog called?
Let's Google it.
Hey, I'm gonna Google
I
that
have-
right now. What is a male dog?
All right.
A stud.
I just typed in male dog name and it just came up with a bunch of dog names.
So there's for a male, it's a stud for
Okay.
breeding purposes. I don't think
Right.
this one doesn't supply a non-breeding purpose.
A castrated?
Yeah, it doesn't give us a castrated one. Or referring to his puppies, a sire. So when the
okay.
dog has puppies, they are sired. If they are for
Right.
breeding, generally speaking, and don't have puppies, they're a stud. A female
Yeah.
dog used for breeding is called a dam or a bitch. Either one. It's interesting. I didn't know the dam part.
I think it's dame.
Dame.
It's a dame.
Oh well, I don't know. It was DAM.
Oh, it's not E? Oh.
So
Okay.
that's
I don't
where I
know.
was like, maybe it's dam, but it could be
I'm-
dame. It's just a really old way to say it.
Right.
Kind of like how through has the GH at the end, but you don't pronounce the GH anymore.
Yeah.
Might be something like that.
I think it's called etymology, right? Like the
yeah,
origin of
the origin of words is called etymology.
yeah. I don't know anything about. I mentioned it last time. The animal husbandry. I don't know anything.
Chickens are
about,
easy.
like,
They're probably the
names and
easiest ones. People say they stink.
Yeah.
They can stink. They can be very
Mm-hmm.
dirty if you don't take care of them or know how to take care of them. They can be really gross.
Right.
And as long as you're not factory farming chickens, or you actually proactively take care of them on at least a bi-daily, like every 2 days basis, you should be fine. Or even
Yeah.
a week. You can go week to week and you can still have a relatively clean and relatively non-smelly work condition for the chickens.
Yeah. I know you said that it might not work here. I live on like a half acre. Like it's a pretty large.
Do you have a
piece of
fenced-in
land.
backyard?
Yeah.
You could easily get away with it.
And there's water on one side, so they're not going to go near that. I feel like we probably could have chickens. my neighbors
could.
don't give a shit about. I know for a fact that there's people that shoot guns in their backyards, like.
Well, you have
within
older neighbors
probably
too.
a mile or two. Yeah, I do. Yeah, they're both at least in their 70s.
Do you know if they were farmers? Or at least had been on a farm or something like that? Usually
The
older
one guy-
generations are more familiar with farming than younger generations.
The neighbor to my left, I think he said his family came from a farm or had a farm at some point. He's definitely the more southern of the two.
Yeah.
The other guy probably not so much, but he kind of keeps to himself anyways. And I feel like if we really wanted to, we could get chicken.
Well, ask the other
And you
dude
might-
and be like,
might-
yo, we're thinking about getting chickens. Do you got any tips, tricks, whatever? He's not going to give a shit if you get chickens. There's no way he will care.
Well, especially if we give him eggs and shit.
Yeah.
He's
Those
like,
are
I
good
wanna
eggs
make
too.
I know. You might inspire me to get some chickens.
Have you ever had fresh eggs?
I mean, not knowingly. Let's just put it that way. I had my ex-wife, my first wife. She got me involved in. It's called a CSA, the Community Supported Agriculture. Mm-hmm. Which, well, I mean, I'm sure they have something like that down here, but this was in Michigan, and it's basically you pay monthly, and to like a farm or like a cooperative or whatever, and then they literally like to your door they deliver like whatever the bounty was for that month. You just get a selection of whatever they had, and I believe one time that they did include eggs, so I guess that was that.
So,
But I don't remember them being any better or worse than like the grocery store.
there
So I don't
are
know.
a ton. Well, of course, like we've been selectively breeding chickens for centuries, like literally
Yeah.
millennia. So
Yeah.
there are a ton of like different options, different types of eggs, different qualities of eggs. Like a chicken that's been bred for broiling, which is you basically raise it to I think 16 weeks, and then you kill it and you eat it for. And it's a broiling chicken because you can just bake it in the oven. That's the point of
Right.
it. As opposed
Right.
to a stew chicken, which is typically a hen that has basically lived its entire life and has laid all the eggs it will. Because just like us humans, human females, you're born with all of the eggs you will ever have. You will not have
Right.
more eggs. Same thing with all animals that have ovaries.
Right.
So a hen that has laid all the eggs that she will, or they will, because they don't have a concept of gender. A hen that has laid all the eggs that they will in their lifetime, you can kill them and they become a stew chicken, and that's because usually the meat isn't as good because it's an older chicken. You stew it, and it's better for a stew than it is for broiling. That's the big difference there. But
Gotcha.
each chicken has different eggs. There are chickens that will lay. They're called Easter egger chickens. And it's usually like a crossbreed between a couple chickens. You can get pink eggs, you can get green eggs, you can get blue eggs from these chickens,
Like naturally.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's
wild.
I don't know the specific things, but it's basically there are certain chicken egg combinations. The ones that lay a specific hue of green. If you mate them with specific brown, you can get a different color from it.
I
I don't
wonder. Sorry, I wonder what color Easter eggs Jesus had for his people or whatever.
Probably brown. Probably brown.
I'm sorry. I'm just throwing a wrench in your whole thing.
No, it's okay. But it's like great. You can get chickens that lay
Yeah.
extremely rich eggs. You can get chickens that lay extremely bland eggs.
Yeah.
The shells, typically, if it's a healthy chicken, the shells are like very hard. They're very hard. The ones that you get at the store, even the brown ones you get at the store, you can crack them real easy. The ones you get from a farm that like has a very healthy chicken population, they're fucking hard, dude.
Well,
They're
you
not
know-
just
you
gonna
know why,
crack,
right?
because
You
they
know why, right?
calcium supplements
wa-
typically.
Well, that and they wash when you get a commercially processed egg. They wash the fucking. There's a coating
Yes.
on the outside, and they wash that off, which is why you need to refrigerate it.
Yep.
In Europe,
They don't do that.
In other places, yeah, they don't do that, which is why
You can keep them on
they're
the.
sitting out.
Now the thing is, if you're going to get fresh eggs, make sure you do wash it before you eat it, even if whatever reason you can still get salmonella. The eggs come. We're taking a lot of time on this, but this is for anybody who's interested in getting chickens. They're really easy.
Hold on a second.
I'm sorry. We'll move on. This is really important though, because
Well, it
salmonella
is important
sucks
for
ass.
the collapse,
It sucks
the inevitable
ass.
collapse.
But the eggs come out of the same hole that they pee and poop out of, and they don't proper. It's not proper pee and poop.
It's called the
Cloaca.
The cloaca. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cloaca. They do everything out of this hole, and it's not like the same way that we use the restroom. They have like an ammonia pack or sack or something like that, and they will collect the ammonia in this, and they combine it with their fecal material, and they will excrete it at the same time, usually. Or once a week. Just each chicken has its own little kind of cycle or whatever, so it could
Yeah.
vary slightly, but usually this will be excreted at the same time. Well, the egg comes out of the same hole because they don't have a different hole for this. They don't have anything dedicated
Right.
for this.
Right.
So you should always wash your eggs, and if you get an egg that has like a lot of fecal material on it, you should probably throw that egg out. Let's be real. Like,
Yeah.
Usually, the eggs don't have anything on them except that coating that we were talking about, very thin, like it's not mucousy, but it because eggs are porous and made of calcium. There's a little
Hmm.
membrane coating on the outside. That's usually it. There's usually
Right.
nothing else. If there is any fecal material, just throw the egg out. It's not worth it. You'll get another one tomorrow. Like they lay an egg every
Right.
single day or every other day, something like that. You'll get another
Right.
one. So,
Interesting.
yep.
Well, now that we got that out of the way, chicken talk with Gabriel.
I grew up in the center of the state where the farming and agriculture is huge.
Yeah.
I had a class where we learned about Florida agriculture, where we
Hmm.
raised pigs and we had our own like planting farm. My friends were part of FFA, like my entire school life. I had friends who were in
Hmm.
FFA, and this goes to the 22 thing too. Um, you don't need a big you don't need a big gun for like to kill animals. It's all about shot placement. We would kill
Right.
pigs with a 22 because we could get right up to it and we would just shoot it in the right spot and that would kill
Right.
it. And you don't need to. That's what a lot of farmers have, and that's what a lot of farmers do, or at least they used to. They might do some other things now, but
Yeah.
that was my entire like childhood, middle school, high school was just I was surrounded with it. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I will bring it back to guns. So we talk about a lot of new gun owners, and people are getting into guns at a record rate this year, which is awesome. I mean, it's really cool to see that there's so many first time gun owners and gun buyers. Um, and so I'm going to talk about 22 long rifle today because I feel like it's a viable caliber. Um, it goes back to a couple episodes ago when remember I was talking about how um, just the whole idea of self-defense, I think, has been hijacked
hmm
by law enforcement and the military, former military people, who kind of talk about this idea of self-defense as having to be really gung-ho and like being the hero and like mag dumping a person until they're dead.
like I think there was an article a while
Which,
back
of course,
with a cop who would carry like 7 magazines on
yeah,
him, and it's like, and they were all full. They're all like 16 round mags
yeah,
because he had one experience where he had to use three and it didn't work. And I'm like,
right,
you need to get trained a little bit better there, buddy.
yeah. So it's I feel like if you are law enforcement or even if you're like private security and you're armed or whatever the case, fine, have a Glock 17, which is the 17 round 9 millimeter. I personally carry a 12 round 9 millimeter handgun for self defense. However, if you are on a budget or you just don't like the recoil, or for whatever other reason you don't like
hmm
9 millimeter or any other caliber, this guy is always going to be there, and it's always going to be your friend. So 22 long rifle. There's a really great, if you want to bring the first article up about the ballistic gel tests.
Yeah.
So there's a really great YouTube channel / website called Lucky Gunner, which I just love watching. I've been a subscriber for a long time. The gentleman who does the videos is very objective. He's very informative. He just presents the information very clearly and in a way that you can understand really well. His name is Chris Baker. He's very non-political as far as I know. He might be a Trump thumping right-wing chud. I don't know, but if he is, then he doesn't talk about it, which is fine. So in this first article, they basically just go over. It's just got a big chart, which I don't know if you want to scroll down. I
The
can't.
one with
I
the
can't.
ballistic test results.
Yeah, the test results. So this is just an objective look at what they basically tested every single major. I think that in the video they mentioned like it's readily available 22 ammo types. Of course, there's a bunch of different types, and I believe they used a very short-barreled revolver for the test, and then also a 4-inch barrel, which is more like a full size, for their testing. And if you
No surprise, the 4-inch outperformed consistently compared to the 2-inch.
Yes,
So,
exactly, because that's just
yeah,
physics.
no surprise there.
And then in a second I'll show my gun, what I have, and then there's some other choices. But anyway, so if you just look here, there's actually I would say probably the first 4 ammo types, so CCI velocitors, that's basically like the gold standard. And CCI probably makes the best 22 ammo available. And then, it's no surprise that their velocitor was the highest performing. So that alone right there. So if any, there's probably a lot of people that don't know about the FBI testing and the FBI standards for penetration. Basically, what you want to have is at least 16 inches is kind of their standard. That number came to be because, again, of years of people being in the field and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that that's a little bit of overkill, quote unquote, overkill.
I think what they're going for, because this goes back to like why the 1911 was chambered in 45, was the stopping power. And if you have 16 inches of penetration through like ballistics gel, well, in reality, you have like bones and you have like different densitied organs that you're going through.
Yeah.
I would imagine the 16 inches doesn't actually penetrate a human like that, but it probably converts to stopping power. That's my guess. I don't actually know.
Yeah, well, I think that's true partially. The whole thing with the FBI standards is they want something in a bullet, as far as performance, they want something that's going to go through a wall and then go through a person, possibly go through 2 people at the same time, if they're not using hollow points. So it's just like it's a maximum factor of this bullet will perform under every single condition, no matter what, blah blah blah. And that's the FBI standard. Again, normal armed civilians are not FBI agents. we're not law enforcement. So my whole thing here is just to look at these numbers and to see, even with 22, what the damage can be and what the potential is. And even if you look at the feet per second, a lot of these are over 1,000. The second one here being 1,100 average. That's what a 9mm goes. A normal 9mm goes 1,100 or 1,200 feet per second. So really, they're not that far apart ballistically, if you really want to look at it objectively, a 9mm and a 22. Of course, the bullet's a lot smaller. Yes, and
but you could get a hollow point.
It doesn't weigh as much. Well, there's they talk about that in the thing too, the expansion. Like this is actually a hollow point. I don't know if you can
here. Let me
see
switch
that.
to the. Let me switch. Maybe that'll be a little better.
Yeah, see the little hole in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a hollow point 22, but nobody's expecting a 22 bullet to have any expansion or anything like that. So so that's kind of the point, is that 22 kind of has a reputation for being a little wimpy round, and it's not going to do anything. And as you just mentioned, Gabriel, you used to kill pigs with it, and newsflash, pigs are not that much smaller, and many times they are larger than humans.
and honestly, pigs have a very similar like bone density, flesh, tissue to humans. Pigs, in lieu of ballistics gel, you could use a pig to test whatever, because it's going to be so similar to like what humans are and what you can expect from human.
And so that's kind of just my point, is that if all you can afford is to shoot inexpensively, which 22, at least it used to be inexpensive. I know now is kind of not the best time to be talking about it, but you can still find it out there kind of inexpensively. Definitely cheaper than 9mm. Still. And
I see a lot of 22 chambered like guns, like 1911s, or like maybe like a Glock clone on the gun broker all the time. They're always there.
Right.
There's never a time where there's not a 22 on gun broker.
Oh, absolutely, and again, inexpensively. I'm going to go ahead and right now. So I know I have this this article that I also mentioned. So anyway, so these two articles right here with the ballistics, and then there's another article, why a 22 long rifle pocket gun should not be underestimated. I'm not going to go over all the details there because I don't want to, bulldoze my time. But
it's okay, take your time.
Basically, those two articles just really highlight, yes, 22 can be a little bit less reliable, but basically what the TLDR is, if you pick the gun properly and you pick a reliable gun that's either been around for a while or has been tested to be reliable, it shouldn't be as much of an issue dealing with the reliability problem. And there's the other article that it just says the 6 best 22 pistols for the money. I recommend all of those. A lot of them are revolvers, but the one that they mention that's not the Walter is this one, which is my Taurus TX22. And so this is a really cool gun for a lot of reasons. Number one, of course, it's very inexpensive. I spent $250 on this gun. They are probably going for a little bit more than that now, as you mentioned, Gabriel, like on Gunbroker, just because guns in general are going for more money now. But so this is, if you look at my grip, first of all, I'll show that it's clear. No ammo, and the thing is on the side.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the chamber. So if you look at the grip size, it's actually it fills up my hand. So this is a full size grip, or what I would call like Glock 19 sized, 5 inches or so. The barrel length is also Glock 19 sized, about 4 inches.
And you got a Picatinny rail on that too. Nice.
I do. Yep, you can put a flashlight on there. It does have an ambidextrous manual safety, which either you can just have down like that and not use it at all, or if you prefer to have it on, that's fine. It does not have an ambidextrous slide stop, but I'm a righty, so that doesn't matter. And it's just a really nice sized handgun. And speaking of size, this holds 16 rounds of 22. And that's typical. I was telling Gabriel earlier, typical semi-automatic, at least 22 handguns only hold 10 rounds, no matter what the size of the gun. Traditionally, they only hold 10 rounds. And that includes the newest 22 besides this is from Glock. It's called the Glock 44. It costs twice as much, and it has about half the features. And so this, if you look up, this gun reviews and stuff, it's usually compared to the Glock 44. And the general consensus is that this gun is more reliable, less expensive, has higher capacity. It actually comes with I don't know if I can do it here, but the end here,
way. It's threaded.
It's a threaded barrel.
Holy shit!
And
that's awesome.
It comes with a little wrench to take the thing off.
Let me switch the thing real quick so that people can see this better. Yeah, sorry.
No worries. So for $250, this would be, if you're not going to be looking at 9mm or any other caliber, this to me is the absolute best 22 long rifle semi-automatic handgun on the market. There's the Ruger Mark IVs that are really cool. That looks like a James Bond gun, and there's a handful of others. I know that the Ruger semi-auto 22 is pretty good, along with the Smith & Wesson. But I think this is better than that for all of those reasons that I just mentioned. And I take this to the range all the time. Sometimes I only shoot this at the range if I don't have 9 or I just don't feel like shooting my 9mm. It's the perfect training gun, and I would actually carry this thing in a pinch if I wanted to. It's reliable if you use good ammo, etc. So
The ammo's cheap too. I just so I was figured this would be a good thing to talk about too.
yeah,
I just pulled up some ammo pricing real quick for 22. So like cost per round is like 11 cents to 19 cents. This Lucky Gunner right here is on the more expensive side here. And then I got Wiki Arms just showing a big list. Some of this is back ordered, some of this isn't. Like this right here is the Federal 2236 grain. It's in stock, $37.99, 11.7 cents per round. You know, like this is cheap. And a lot of this is more in stock than what you'd find with 9mm or even 5.56 or I would assume probably 45. That's another popular round too, another popular carry round at least. So like just it's available and it's cheap, you know.
it is. It's certainly less expensive. It's more expensive now than it was. That's for sure. I want to say pre-COVID, I want to say it was maybe like between 7, 8, or 9 cents a round. So right here on AmmoSeek, I'm looking and it says 12 cents is the cheapest.
The most expensive I see right now is 24 cents a round. That's the most expensive, which is still better than I think any 9mm you're going to get right now.
Right.
And that's the most
that's
expensive.
definitely less expensive than 9mm. But even some of this, just like, so I'm trying to find like an actually like good brands like CCI or.
While you're looking real quick, another thing about 22, and even probably revolvers too, people who have like bone conditions like arthritis or osteoporosis or something like that.
Just like weak hand strength.
Yeah, weak hand strength. There's virtually zero recoil with this.
Right.
So that's one thing. And secondly, if you pair that with like a revolver, you don't have to cock the gun. My grandmother, she has weak hands with like arthritis or rheumatoid or carpal tunnel. It's something like that. And she can't cock like a gun because it's too much for her hands. But she still wants to have something on her to protect herself. So she's getting, I think it's a double action revolver, like a hammerless double action revolver or something like that. And
you mean single action
or single
double actions?
It's single action. Sorry.
That's okay, because double action is really tough to pull. Well, speaking of that, this gun too. I mean, the slide on this thing is very easy to manipulate,
and they're light. Loaded, they're light because the ammo's light. You know, that's another thing.
I didn't look up the specs on it, but this is easily half the weight of, my normal carry gun.
Yeah,
they're probably about half the weight. Yeah, so 22. I know it. Like I said, it gets a bad rap. It's known as the wimpy round or the training round or whatever, but the numbers don't lie. I've shot personally. I've shot like at like stacked 2x4s and stuff, and it'll go through like 3 or 4 2x4s. That's no slouch. Like it's definitely, they're humming at out of a rifle barrel, they'll probably go 1,400 feet per second. Obviously, if you go into a pistol, it's less than that, but they are not anything. I wouldn't try shooting yourself in the foot or something like a BB gun.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
It's still, look, you can still kill with this. That's the whole point of this.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point. Don't try shooting yourself here. It's gonna hurt.
And there was one time that I was in my backyard, and like I said, my neighbors are pretty cool, and I've popped off a couple rounds before. I wanted to see, because I had heard, 22 is not that loud. Of course, when I shoot guns, I have my ears on. And I was like, well, let me just see how loud it really is without ear protection. And I'm fucking telling you, it's loud as fuck.
You can get subsonic, and I think even the subsonic ammo is cheap, like comparatively.
Well, subsonic without a suppressor though is still going to be kind of loud.
Just less.
But I'm just telling you, like 22 out of a regular pistol, like the one that I just showed you, it's still pretty loud, and it's not. It's a real deal thing. So don't. My advice is don't let anybody tell you that 22 is not a viable defense round. It absolutely is, and if that's all you have money for, do some research into it. Find the Lucky Gunner articles or take a look at them. Watch the videos on YouTube. There's definitely some good stuff out there.
And we'll provide the Lucky Gunner articles here too, like on the in the description. Always look in the description. Last time I I uploaded the video, I put what I got wrong. Every time I said Senate, I meant to say Congress, and I put that in the video description. So like, if you have any contentions or you want to know where we got the information from, the source is in the description. And I will say, if you're listening on the podcast platform, the character limit is smaller than that on YouTube. So I did have to cut some things from that. If you want the full source description, go ahead. You can click the YouTube link or find us on YouTube. Just the Sunshine Reformer podcast. Nothing special. And then you can always find the source information there too. So I try to source everything, you know.
No, that's great. I think that's the way it should be. I think most people do that, but
you know, that way nobody can say, "Well, you're talking bullshit." Well, no. No, I'm not. Actually, no, we're not. We got look down. Look in the source. It's all there.
Yes. Exactly. So I think I've exhausted talking about 22. I don't have anything else to say about gun stuff. There's a very juicy topic happening right now with regards to the ATF, but we're going to save that for next week.
I think we're going to have our guest on again.
Yeah, he's going to be on next week.
Yeah. I guess we can finish off with the real quick. You probably don't want to go like hunting with 22, but you can still do you can get squirrels and rabbits and stuff with 22 easy. Just because you can kill a farm hog with the 22 doesn't mean you want to go out and go hog hunting with the 22. It's very different circumstance. The hogs typically are very tame on a farm. You can walk right up to them. They trust you. You've been feeding them. Like most farm animals, not just because they are farm animals, but it's because you've built this. Most farm animals have some sort of social structure. Chickens have the pecking order, which is a real thing. Pecking order is real. Hogs are very intelligent social creatures, just like humans. They're the smartest animal on a farm, typically smarter than dogs, usually, unless you have a border collie. I think border collies might be a little smarter.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. Amber, can you answer the phone, please? My dad's calling.
Cows, incredibly social. They're literally herd animals. They are incredibly social. Just call him back. So when you walk up to like a hog and you pop it with a 22, you literally have the best possible chance to kill the hog to eat. Don't go hunting with 22. You want something bigger. It's still better than nothing, but it's like you wouldn't want to go up against a bear without bear mace or something. Or
just a handgun.
Because a pig will kill you. Pigs are strong and they're big. Usually they're bigger than you. A full-grown hog will weigh usually more than you as a human, and they're going to have more muscle mass, and they're going to knock you over easy. Even small pigs, they can just run up against your legs and they can hit you. So just to kind of like end it, you know, you can You can take it. You can shoot like birds and stuff
Angus.
if you wanted to like do some like minor hunting or maybe get into hunting to start.
Yeah.
But don't do anything big with it.
Sorry,
So
Angus is getting excited.
I feel like that
He
would be
might.
like an appropriate also kind of side thing there.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like maybe he saw a hog. Angus, did you see a pig outside? Is that what got you all excited? He's the pig in real life. Yeah. So I agree with all of that. Sorry, there was stuff happening here. We can't. This is a live thing, and we can't control.
It's okay.
Angus, stop.
It's okay.
Go lay down. Go to your box.
Go to your box.
Go.
We have the crate for our dog, and we
Angus, go to
we
your
call
box.
it his house. Excuse me. We call it his house. So we'll say, go to your house.
His box is very comfortable. It's basically a second bed. He's
That's awesome.
spoiled. It's fine. 22 long rifle. Buy one.
It's good.
It's the American way.
It's good.
Okay. You want to get into Electoral College.
Oh boy, the most exciting, more electoralism. Everybody hates me for talking about electoralism. I know the left hates electoralism, or at least broadly speaking, the internet left, I suppose we could say. So on here, I've got
Sorry.
the
Hang on a second. I
Yeah.
gotta put him away. Sorry.
children. These dogs, man, they're like little kids. I have a miniature Australian Shepherd, and he's great. He's one of the nicest dogs
That's my mom.
ever.
Yeah. I'm Greg.
All right. Man, I got a full truck.
Okay.
I want to get a border collie, but I've heard border collies are like fairly extreme when it comes to like their needs.
A lot. Yeah.
So
No worries.
we'll have to see.
You just hate
Work at home, but one day we'll have a local location we'll go to that's all sound isolated, and one day, that's not today though.
I'm really sorry.
It's okay. I was talking about border collies and my Australian Shepherd, and how one day we'll have an isolated studio, but we're currently work at home, so that's not going to happen.
Yes, exactly. Oh gosh, I can't wait. The mailman came, and I didn't know he was there.
It's okay.
All right, back to the
Electoralism.
point. Yes, please inform me, educate me.
So I've got a live updating prediction, like poll prediction of the Electoral College. If the election were to happen right now, who would win? Currently, if we had the election right now today, Joe Biden would win with 273 Electoral College votes, and Trump would lose with 125 Electoral College votes. There is a 140 Electoral College unknown. That's the toss-up, the swing states or the battleground states or whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. Of course, Texas, as we were talking, I think last time, is going to be the potential newest swing state because of the influx of people immigrating into the state, into the cities specifically for jobs, for cheaper housing. Because there's virtually no zoning regulations in Texas when it comes to residential zoning. It's like there are literally roller coasters built on the fence line of neighborhoods. Like that's not a joke. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Because it's Texas. I mean, it's like the most free state of all states. You know, they don't care about anything. You can do whatever you want. But because again, there's a lot of job opportunity in Texas. It's very cheap to live there, relatively speaking. So a lot of people are moving there. Texas is becoming slowly the next swing state. Of course, Florida's there, Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Iowa, Nevada, Maine. Georgia's interesting. I think they're currently polling at 50-50. They're like split right down the middle. So just to give an idea, and that's going to be updating regularly. So we'll see how that trends. And it's based on polling data, and they pull their polling data from Real Clear Politics. They aggregate a bunch of polls around the nation. I don't know if they get exit polls. I think exit polls are probably going to be the best, most accurate, because it's literally who did you vote for. So that vote has already like gone in.
Right.
So another thing, election day isn't just November 3rd. Election day, election week, or election like multiple weeks is already happening. I think
Oh yeah.
we've already exceeded the mail-in voting of 2016 in most states. In most states, it's happening right now. People are voting, and I think youth turnout, which I think is described as 18 to like 24 or 25, is higher already than it was in 2016 as well. So that's another thing. Younger people are more likely to vote left, whether that be Democrat, which is like center right for most cases, or as far as like the Green Party, or what was literally on the ballot this year, the Socialist Party. That we have a Socialist Party in the United States that was running. So they're more likely to vote left than they are conservative.
Right.
So that's that. Now, how does this play out to Florida? And this is the, I'm just showing the Electoral College map and what states are most likely to vote for which one and where the Electoral College is going to most likely pledge. There is a thing called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Big word, or big name. What does it mean? It basically means the states who have signed on to it will pledge their Electoral College votes to the popular vote. So whoever wins the popular vote, they get all of the Electoral College votes. So it basically, at some point, if you get enough states to sign on, it effectively negates the Electoral College. So we were talking a little bit about how if Biden and, hopefully we are able to elect a Democratic Senate as well as a Democrat Congress, if we get all those passed, hopefully we can get either an abolition of the Electoral College or a decreasing requirement or like authority or whatever of the Electoral College, because it basically dictates who wins, and it doesn't give a shit about popular vote, even though popular vote, should be the will of the people,
Right.
The biggest contentions of this tend to be like the partisan advantage, how cities tend to always vote Democrat or whatever, or they're more likely to vote Democrat, and that these cities will take over, and they'll, the people in the country will no longer have a voice. First of all, I do think it's a little bit true. I don't give a shit. I'm tired. I am so fucking tired of.
I was going to ask you that. Like, what's the argument for the Electoral College? Like, why?
It's an old thing. It was. I don't know the exact specifics because I'm not too versed in every single law that goes into electoralism. I am not like that person. But if I remember correctly, it's supposed to give somewhat of an equal weight of lesser populated states to the more highly densely populated states. So like back in the olden days where there was still just 13 states or 14, 15 states, because just a reminder, the Constitution is not as old as the country. There were documents that existed before the Constitution. We had the Articles of Confederation that were in effect prior to the Constitution. So the Constitution is younger than the country is. So I think it's like 15 or 16 states at the time that the Constitution was passed. The smaller states, mostly the South, because they're less populated rural farmland. They wanted equal representation when it came to electing the president. You know, the slave owning at the time South, this seems to be a trend, by the way, wanted somewhat equal representation for the executive branch. Not to say that they didn't get equal representation in the other two branches, because remember, one branch is based on population as it is. The other branch is two representatives per state. You know, so in that sense already, you have the two representatives per state. You already have fair representation of your state there. You get two of them, and the other one is based on population. So that's where that kind of balance came from. Well, they wanted it at the executive branch too. Well, doing the Electoral College basically fucks the popular vote almost every time. Well, not almost every. It's been 5 times specifically, and at each time, the Electoral College unfairly represents the rural areas than it does the actual populated majority of the U.S. So some of the dissenting opinions is that there's a partisan advantage with the cities. Well, if you look at the popular vote, no, it's still split, and even still, the top 100 U.S. cities is almost equal to the entire rest of rural America. If you look on the website for the National Popular Vote, they have a ton of just stuff about, talking about the popular vote and the Electoral College. Right here, 100 biggest cities have 59,849,000 people, and rural America has 59,492,000 people. So it's like, that's virtually not true. Now, 100 biggest cities, obviously there's more than just 100 cities in the United States, but not every city votes reliably Democrat. There are cities that exist, especially in rural America, the center, the Midwest to the desert West. There are cities that exist there that don't vote Democrat, or they don't vote like Democratic Socialist or Social Democrat. They don't vote that. They vote like conservative Republican or Libertarian. There are people like that in these cities. So it's already like fairly split when it comes to the popular vote, pretty evenly anyway. Right. So as we keep going and looking at this, there is virtually no reason for the Electoral College at this point. Another thing that's always brought up, and I don't know if this is true, the Electoral College was also meant to prevent the population for voting for a president who is absolutely stupid, and the Electoral College was supposed to be able to fix that, because this is also during a time before public education was widely spread. You know, people, look, let's be real. The founding fathers were exceptional people. They were wealthy people. A lot of them were land-owning, slave-owning farmers who had massive plantations and could afford not taking a paycheck to go off and dick around in politics at a federal level. You know, this doesn't represent the majority of people. And back then, it was only white land-owning people who could vote anyway. And then that gradually changed. And as that changed, vote changed, we got a little bit more progressive. As people were educated and public education became more viable, we started to see civil rights movements, women's suffrage, black suffrage, slavery ended. We started seeing a lot of civil rights movements going all the way into the 60s and 70s. And even today we have BLM, which is another civil rights movement. As the population has become more educated, they've gotten more progressive, and they've become more aware of politics. So to even use the argument that the Electoral College was to prevent, just a general populist, whether it was true or not, it's irrelevant. The Electoral College voted in a populist. The Electoral College voted in a reactionary, and it didn't protect the United States against it. It helped. We have Trump. He's the populist. He's the he's regressive. He
Well,
literally
he
has no
didn't
idea
win
what
the-
he's doing. The Electoral
He
College
didn't
didn't
win the
prevent.
popular vote,
No, he didn't.
right?
Yeah, no, that was one of the 5 times that it happened. The
Yeah.
Electoral College did not protect the United States against something that was against the United States' interest. So that's an irrelevant conversation. They also have like a whole answering myths thing section here. I implore everybody here to please look this up. Look up the bill. Go to your state. Plead your state representatives to look into this. In regards to Florida specifically, the first time it was introduced was in 2011. The second time it was introduced was in 2017, and it was introduced twice. Okay, the fourth and fifth time was in 2018. It was introduced twice.
You're talking about this thing that Florida would go with the popular vote instead?
Yeah, we would wait.
Okay.
We would basically wait until the entire election's over, all the votes are in. Whoever got the popular vote, if Florida signs on to this, Florida would pledge all of their Electoral College votes to the popular vote. It was reintroduced in 2018, fourth and fifth time, and then again in 2019 for the 6th time, and the 7th time it was introduced this year, 2020, at the beginning of the year, January, February, 2 more times. It has been declined each time, okay? And just here, just like how we talked about last time about electoralism, how you could see who voted and how they voted, you can see how your representatives vote. Excuse me. You can see here too. It gives you a bunch of information. Where did it stop? One time it was this was recently March. It went to the House. It died in Oversight, Transparency, and Public Management Subcommittee. The other time this year was also in March. It died in the Senate, in Ethics and Elections. Okay, and if you want to know why it did that, go ahead, get on the site, find out why. That's your incentive. I've given you a little bit. Go look it up more. Go to this National Popular Vote website, type in your zip code, and they provide you a subject and a letter, as well as and they send an email to your representatives. Basically, the nicest way they possibly can. They say, "Fuck you! You need to get your shit together. Vote for this." They don't say it like that. Obviously, they say it much nicer. And you can add your own thing. So if you wanted to say that, you can say that too. Eat shit. Suck a fat one. You need to vote for this now. You're supposed to represent me. You're not representing me. Do it. This is how you make change. This is local. Okay. How close is this? If this was enacted, Florida has 29 Electoral College votes. This green bit here will go up 29. It'll be that much closer. Colorado's in a referendum right now, and it's going to be decided. Colorado originally voted for it. I have a feeling they'll stay consistent with that referendum. The other ones that are currently in limbo right now is Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and South Carolina. If Florida was to sign this into law, add 29 more, we need 270. Currently, we have 196 for the Electoral College. We would only need a couple more states, just a couple more. We don't need that many more. And we basically, that's it. Whatever the popular vote is now what the Electoral College is. And that's the other way to do it. So now we don't have to rely on the federal government. There are some legal issues with this, potentially. And my guess is that because it hasn't been fully enacted, nobody's taken this to the Supreme Court. That's my guess. I don't know. One of the biggest ones is the Constitution's Compact Clause. It's Article 7. It states, "No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay and duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, entry into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay." Okay? People have used this against the clause. I call bullshit for an obvious reason. They're talking about a literal invasion and war. Congress is the only one who can authorize war. So no shit, like duh. Otherwise, states can do whatever the fuck they want when it comes to unions and interstate compacts with other states, as long as it doesn't involve war. As it reads, that's what it says. So I would call bullshit. I don't think a court would see this, and say like, oh, you can't have an interstate compact, because that's such a bad reading of that. That would just be fucking insane. That court would have a political agenda at that point, and I would I would ask for an appeal. I would appeal to a higher court in that regard if that were the case. Another thing is that another dissenting opinion would be the focus on swing states, the states that are swing states that are already in the compact. I also call bullshit. Most swing states are already the ones that get the most campaign focus, so that doesn't change anything. That's already an issue. We talked about the suggested partisan advantage. I don't give a shit. We need every advantage we get, because the difference, and this fucking pisses me off so much, the difference between the left winning versus the right winning is that the right can put us into concentration camps and kill us. That's historically been the case. Political dissidents or political differences, or maybe cultural or ethnic differences with the power hungry side, when it comes to the fascists right leaning side, that's what happens. They get put in concentration camps and they die, or they're sought out and they're politically dead. Not to say that didn't happen in leftist places. The USSR obviously had that. However, it's fairly consistent with the right to do that more often. With the left, we advocate for Democrat elections. We say Democrat. I don't mean the political party. I mean the will of the people kind of thing. We advocate for the democracy when it comes to our elections. We advocate for workplace democracy as well. We advocate for destroying racism, making people equal, giving people rights, expanding rights. This is what we advocate for. The right doesn't do that. I don't care anymore. I don't care if we get an advantage. We need the advantage. Look, if it were to happen tomorrow and Trump was able to just snap his fingers, we're talking about this now, we would be, arrested. If that was possible. That's what happened in Germany. That's what happened in Mussolini, Italy. That's what happened in fascist Spain. That's what happened. You were found out, you were arrested, and you were either killed or put into some sort of work camp. I don't got time for that. And there's a really good quote. If they win, we get put in camps and are at risk of death. If we win, they get better education. Like, because let's be real. Leftists are the one who advocate for the public education option. Leftists are the one who advocate for expanding your current knowledge base, being culturally enriched and all this stuff. Let's do it. Push for it. Go to this website, write an email, find out who your representatives are, call them, bother them, do it. Even your more local ones, like your mayors, anybody who has any sort of political power at all, anybody. Is it like a committee member? Is it your mayor? Is it your fucking like sheriff's officer? Literally anybody. Just go bug the shit out of them. Someone's got ties to somebody. Somebody does. If enough of us push for this state Senate will have to do something about it. They'll have to take it on. They've already pushed for it 7 times or something like that. Why can't it be an 8th or a 9th or a 10th time? Let's keep pushing it. We need this, desperately need this. We need to desperately change how this shit works. And I'm doing this as a counter to the last time we talked about this, because it was doing anything federally is really difficult. Greg, you've been alive long enough. The back and forth is insane. It's like
Yeah.
every time a Democrat is elected, the next year or the next, or not next year, but the next election cycle, or maybe 2 election cycles out, we get a Republican in. And the opposite is true. 2 election cycles later, we get a Democrat in. It's back and forth. This shit changes all the time. And we can't get a hold on long enough to make any real change. And going back, we don't have a public option right now because we had Republicans say fuck you.
Right.
Healthcare wouldn't be as much of an issue if it weren't for that. Hell, we could probably have universal healthcare at this point if we were able to keep Democrats in and reliably hold those seats. There are Democrats who won't vote for some Democrat things because they hold a really contentious seat where the majority is like center leaning or center right leaning, and they got it by the fucking skin of their teeth. They know if they vote for the wrong thing, they're out. They're out next election cycle, and they're replaced with a Republican. Let's take that concern away a little bit. Let's take the concern away. Let's vote for policies that are more in line with the majority population, who is already voting vastly more progressive than the minority population. And B, let's work locally. Let's locally change things. Let's take the good of our rival party, the Libertarian Party, the Republican Party. Let's take what they're doing good, which is working locally to make changes, and let's do that too. Let's work locally and make these places DSA, reliably DSA places. Let's make these reliably Democrat places. Let's make these reliably Green Party places, and it starts with this shit. Bug the shit out of your representatives. You have a state one that does state shit. You got a state one that does federal shit. You got a couple state ones that do federal shit. Bug them both, And then maybe next time we get a federal election cycle, we'll be able to reliably have leftists up there. Maybe we'll see our first DSA ones up there. Maybe we'll see like our first green ones up there. That'd be pretty cool.
Great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And let's not talk about it like a fantasy. Let's talk about it like, let's make this happen. Let's do it.
I'm fired up.
Let's do it,
ready.
man. I'm so fucking tired of this shit. I used to be the whole, I used to be like, let's keep the Electoral College because I don't want a minority party to be stomped on, because I always think of like, well, if I was a Jew, I would want some sort of unbalanced representation back in Nazi Germany, because that might have saved my life in Nazi Germany.
Right.
But the case is the opposite now here. We have the minority party. And I say minority party, they represent a minority of the United States, not to say that they are actually minorities.
Excuse me.
It's actually like the majority of, like, if we're talking about skin tone and such, but not by a lot. But this minority party, in terms of ideology, is absolutely ruling over all of us. And it's so stupid, and I'm so tired of it. And honestly, it's this back and forth bullshit that gets people who are a little bit less politically inclined to think, well, this is useless. My vote is useless because no matter what, there's never progress. I never see change. We never see change because Republicans are fucking holding us back, dude. It's so stupid. And it's hard to get those people who are like, I don't want to vote. I don't want to participate in a system that's not going to do anything. It's hard to get those people to actually come in. And if everybody who said that voted, because likely they'd end up voting Democrat or some sort of progressive, if we got all those people in, we wouldn't have a Republican Party. Republicans and conservatives are the most reliable voting base. As in, they vote the most consistently and they vote the most often. That's why they're so strong locally. That's why they have such a foothold federally. They vote in the midterms. They vote on local bills. They vote on your mayor. They vote on your state senate. They're just so good at being voters. Chalk it up to whatever. We need to be able to have. I know it's harder for us because, again, a lot of us are affected classes of people, affected races of people on the left. Usually there's a reason why we're left. I think I said that a while ago. And it's because we've experienced certain things that usually people who are conservative leaning don't experience. And they are somewhat privileged in that regard. But we need to take those experiences and turn it into a vote. Just take 30 minutes out of your day and vote early if you can, to avoid waiting. You know, get a mail-in ballot so it even takes less time. I know some of us are working 60 to 80 hours a week, but we just need to find time to do it on your next work break or in between jobs or something. Maybe call like the elections office, get a mail-in ballot, register to vote. Next time you go to the DMV, if you're driving, hopefully you're able to do that. You know, the people who are more likely and able to do these things, go ahead and do it now, like if you can, or get it set up for next year, because it might be a little too late now. But we just got to do stuff, man. Got to do stuff.
A passionate plea.
Please.
I love it.
Please. I don't know what else to say. Oh wait, no, I do have a little bit. It's somewhat related.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little bit related.
I was just gonna say, I love you, dude. You're just like, you're just laying it down.
It's a little
I love everything that you.
And this is another sad thing, you know, like under Trump, we have more deportation of like people who don't need to be deported. This is something that changes at the executive level because the executive branch dictates immigration policy. To some degree, you know, there's limitations on it, but for the most part, they're the ones who dictate how people get into the country. They dictate the asylum stuff. You know, we're declining more and more asylum seekers than we did previously. And you know, shit on Obama all you want, I don't care. He was deporter in chief. He deported a shit ton of people, but the amount of people who get deported is fucking insane, dude. And this is why we need to change. This is why we need to vote for the National Popular Vote, Interstate Compact. We need to get people in who will vote for this. We need reliable candidates who are going to vote in favor of this because we need to change the executive branch. Here's an article from NPR supported by the Pulitzer Center, which is a really fucking big thing. It's a big deal to be supported by that. What I don't remember how many. I think it's like 19 U.S. veterans were deported. I think between 2013 to 2018. Oh no, I was wrong. 92 veterans deported from 2013 to 2018.
So people who had served the country.
People who have served the country because there's some sort of Latinx, you know, immigration type whatever deal. This is going all the way back to the Vietnam War to as recent as like the Iraq War. All these people were veterans of these things. Probably Democrat voters because Latinx tends to vote left just because conservatives are racist. If it weren't for the fact that conservatives tend to be racist or support racist policies, Latinx, depending, might actually vote right just because like you have a lot of like Catholic religiosity and such. But that might be changing. The Pope just said LGBTQ people are cool. They can.
But a lot of people got mad about
that.
They
can get married. Well, all those mad people can eat shit.
Yeah, I know. I'm just.
They can eat shit.
It's a nightmare.
And that's our new SCOTUS too, the Supreme Court.
God in heaven.
She's Catholic.
I saw the news yesterday.
So if she's truly supporting her Catholic views, now she has to support the LGBTQ marriage stuff. She has to. The Pope said it's okay. So, and if she's not in support of that, then we know that she has a political bias as a Supreme Court. Even if she had the religious one, it's still a political bias.
She's saying fuck the Pope.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if Trump's able to get his team into looking into repealing some stuff in time.
Well, he's got a week.
Yeah, he's got a week. Well, actually, no, because the next president doesn't come in until January or February or something like that. So he's got way longer than a week. Just having this Supreme Court pick, they can jam a lot of shit in just a couple months. So
Uh,
we got to change stuff. That's my little end card. I don't have anything else. It's sad that we're deporting U.S. veterans at a larger and larger rate just because they're Latinx or whatever. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. It's just I'm so fucking done with this shit, dude. I want change.
I think you're right.
I
I
want
don't think
change.
anybody's thinking that you're being disingenuous by how you pronounce it. Man, I agree with all of what I just. That's why I love doing this with you, because I just kind of sit back and let you passionately describe what needs to happen. And of course, I agree with everything you're saying.
I can't emphasize enough. You have
Yeah.
if you have any time, any amount of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, a day, literally anything, any amount of time, just message your local like representative or your local party people and talk to them. Say like, hey, look, I'm good at these things. What can I do? You know, can I phone bank for 5 minutes? Can I go door to door in my neighborhood? What do you need me to do? You know, just do that. Like that'd be
Right.
awesome if you can. If not, excuse me, message your representatives. That's a coffee burp. Sorry.
That's okay.
We just got to get involved locally. We have to do what the conservatives are really good at, and that's being involved locally. They're
It all
really good at
starts
that.
local.
Yeah, it all
Yeah.
starts local. We have to do that. That's
Yeah.
what they're good at. We're supposed to be good at it. That's supposed to be our thing. We're leftists. We're all about community and camaraderie. That's supposed to be our thing. Why can't we do that? You know, there were back before the antitrust laws were actually enacted and actually enforced. You know, unions were getting shot on by Pinkertons. You know, workers would revolt together against the corporations who were like literally killing them. The Pinkertons literally killed people who would protest against these corporate entities. You know, they
Yeah.
had more community back then, and they were like, not to say that, not to I can't think of the word for it, but not to make anyone's circumstances here less valuable to or less meaningful to them or anything, but those people were in squalor, and I wouldn't want to be alive back then. You know, this is pre-vaccines. People were having like 8 kids and they'd have 3 live kind of thing. You know, I wouldn't want to live in that.
No.
And on top of it, they had to deal with being shot on by Pinkertons and work 80 hours a week in the worst factory conditions ever. I mean, just look at the meat industry back then. People would literally eat meat and they wouldn't realize it, but they're eating human because people would fall into the meat grinders and the meat vats, and they end
You're
up
talking
getting
about the book that was published. I know what you're talking. It was in Chicago.
It's a real thing. It really happened.
Yeah.
And it was going on
Right.
for decades at that point. It wasn't
Right.
new. And on top of it, you had the Standard Oil people were in the oil refineries, and they were dying at alarming rates. You had the steel mill workers, and they were dying at alarming rates. And they're overworked, and they're not compensated for it. You know, like I wouldn't want to live in that. And I don't think anybody in the United States lives in those types of conditions as it was back then. I think a lot of regulation has helped with that. But they found time to get together to fight against these. You hear the little. We have a little toy thing for the baby that makes like music noise whenever it gets moved. Sorry, but they had the time. They found the time to get together in camaraderie, in community, and they did that. We need to go back to that. We need to go back to our roots and like advocate that way. It'd be awesome
Right.
when COVID's over in a safe environment.
Bro,
wait for
when
this to be
COVID's
done.
over. That's like the slogan of the year, like when COVID's over.
Yeah. If you can do it safely before COVID's over, go ahead and do that. But, you know, be safe. Don't be stupid.
Right.
Wear a mask. A lot of this stuff you can do on the internet. We started the podcast because of this. You know, we have some extra time because of
True.
COVID. I work from home now, fortunately, thank goodness. Do that. Do these things. An email can take 5 minutes, and you don't have to leave your house or work. You can do it on a break. Email somebody, text your representatives. Call Rick Scott. Tell him he's a piece of shit. Stop focusing on China, Rick Scott. Stop.
Exactly.
Stop. So.
All right, my dude. Looks like we're coming up on an hour 20.
Done. Yeah, we're on an hour 20.
No worries. So to recap, buy 22 ammo and a 22 gun because they're sweet and fun.
Yeah, and they're cheap.
But then
it's great.
But then when you're done doing that, contact your representatives, make change happen.
Hell, while you're waiting for the sales clerk to bring the 22 to you, get on your phone. Most people have a phone of some sort.
Or if you're waiting for your background check.
Or you're waiting on your background check, you got 5 minutes. Go ahead and do it. I sent one today. I'm going to start, now that I'm aware of this site and that they'll just automatically get an email set up, I'm going to start doing a bunch of shit posty emails. Really, look, I don't care about being nice anymore. I don't care anymore. They're supposed to represent me, and they're not. They need to represent me at this point. I'm so tired of it. Shit post. I don't care about the niceties. Don't do anything illegal. Don't threaten them or whatever. Just
strongly word it. Yeah. Make them feel bad for not voting for it. I don't care anymore. You shouldn't care. You should be pissed off. So let's do it. I agree. So that's the episode for today. Next week, like I said, we got a pretty good content. I can't fucking talk.
We have what is it? A
good topic.
The AR pistol stuff.
Yeah. So the ATF is fucking around with our shit. It's another thing to be angry about. Another reason to contact your representatives in a different way for a different reason. And that's what we're going to talk about then. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We appreciate every single person that has subscribed. And it's been great. So we will see you guys next time.
Yep. Have a great week.